Okay, by the way, these are the exit sketch and the discard sketch icons right here. So I'm in sketch mode right now. You can kind of tell because there's little these little arrows are shaped like that, and it does say editing sketch 1. Okay, when you're drawing, pulling an extrusion, if you select this button, that changes the direction. Then you got this, just like the other program, Inventor. So, so when drawing these things, I can select draft inward or draft outward, turn draft off or on, and you can kind of control it like that. And I can also select a direction 2, turn that on. And put a draft on it as well if I wanted to. Okay, the zoom to fit command might be kind of useful. Another command, if you actually click a surface, you got these various view commands here, and I guess other little commands that can open up that are applicable or context sensitive, but one's a view normal, so that actually puts you at edge-on view to that surface. I don't know how relevant that is, but it might be useful. And then of course you got the previous view command right there. Now if you just press the I guess that didn't work. Now if you hold your mouse pointer up here, it kind of rotates the view that way. If you hold Alt, it'll kind of spin it around in the view plane. Okay, so if you go under view command and you want to hide the sketch relations, that's how you do it. If those get in the way at all. Now when you draw a line, you can start at the origin, just like I did there. Well, shit. But you need to do this beforehand, because you can go for construction and create a construction line, like so. Hit escape. And you'll notice the sketch, it says fully defined, and but this rollback bar is still above our sketch. Now, you'll notice where the bar is right now, it's below the sketch. I assume it has to do with it being underdefined. Now this construction line, has a horizontal constraint, so that means our line really can't move up. It can move left to right, but it can't move up. Okay, now I've started another line from that point. Now, you'll see the inferencing line pop up. You'll see to the right of the pencil there's a little white inferencing indicator. But if you click that, it's not permanent, so you can move it. Whereas, you just see that turn green there, that will be permanent, so you won't be able to move that. Well, no, apparently that's still inferencing, so but like I said, it's yellow here, so you can see those yellow relations. That would be permanent, because it's yellow, but here it's white, so it's not going to create a fixed relationship. Okay, now the black lines are supposedly fully defined, but the blue lines are underdefined. Although I wonder if this, my view is screwed up, so the top plane, I think. Okay, yeah. These little relation marks are hard to see. Okay, I've selected, this line here, and you can see that it's got a vertical relationship added, that it's fully defined, but you can add more relations if you wanted to, but there's no point because it's already fully defined. Or you can turn it into a construction line, or an infinite length, or an infinite length construction line if you want. So, and here are the parameters, the length and the angle you can set. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on this dimension and turn it into a construction dimension. Okay, apparently if you take a dimension like this and delete it, I can select it. Okay, but also select a construction line. And if I move it to the right of that line, you see on the right of the line, it's just a standard dimension, but it comes diametral, for diameter. If I move it on this side of the line. By the way, another way to get out of these modes is to click on them. But like adding a dimension here, and if you wanted to make it diametral, you can enter it there, just hit 1 inch. So I guess it knows that center line is diametral because I selected it, so it knows what that means, that it could be a center line. And of course you can do those types of dimensions vertically too, because it looks at that, that's a part, it's a midpoint construction line, still treats it like that. Okay. Now I'm going to make that select those two, and I'm going to make them coincident. Okay, I've added all these dimensions, and as you can see, the thing is fully defined now. Apparently, and I don't know why exactly he did this, but apparently he's defining all these diametral dimensions because, for one thing, you work with full thickness parts and specifications like a 1 inch hole, not half that. Usually lists the radii. But he's also about to mirror this whole thing over here so that it creates a closed profile. At any rate, I'm going to delete this 0.375. And create a diametral dimension, 0.75, which is exactly what we want, actually. So, and I can, grab the thing and reposition it if I want to clear it up. And these are hard to see, but you can kind of get the idea. You see how it highlights in orange. If these two relations are related and they have the number 2 next to them, just like these two relations related and have the number 3 attached to them, and these two are related, as being coincident, and have the number 1 next to them. And of course that's a horizontal relationship, this is a vertical relationship. That's vertical, that's horizontal, etc. This is parallel. And of course coincident means they share a point on the same line, basically. It's, they're not, the points aren't in the same place, but they're on the same line. Just like here, that's on the same line, so it's coincident. You know, so if this line were extended to infinity, you know, that's got a point on it. It's a coincident point. You know, these relationships, by the way, are independent, you know, meaning that they're not really dependent on another entity. They're just, you know, dependent on the drawing itself. And by the way, if you don't pull this menu thing out enough, some of your options disappear, apparently. Either that or I selected mine differently than his, but anyway, when I did mine, you know, the text was all vanished, so I mean, it didn't have any of these, you know, this text here, and this, even this copy thing was missing. Not sure why. Now, when you're doing an extruded boss profile, you know, you can see if you use the thin features, you know, it actually creates a, you know, either a thickness around the center line, a thickness like that in one direction, or in two directions. You know, and that's the thickness, you know, in two directions, so it's off of the middle point. And you can change the direction of it by hitting that arrow. You know, specify it in, you know, two directions. You know, thickness on the one side, you know, on this side, you know, is the outside thickness, and this will be the inside thickness here. You know, one direction, you know, you can see that where we currently have it, you know, this is on the inside, you know, by 50 mil now. I changed it. That's on the outside. Our sketch is actually in the center, although it's a little hard to see. But the sketch is, you know, this is actually growing it to the outside now. Of our sketch, now it's on the inside of our sketch right there. Okay, now we're going to add a fillet, and this is something interesting. Set it to, you know, for the sake of, you know, 32 thousandths what I got it. Now click it, and if you'll notice, see how that check mark with a mouse on it? If you click the right button, you know, that completes the command. So sometimes it'll give you that option. And I just put a fillet, you know, on the entire object there. Now I drew these two circles. This one's already has a set dimension to it. Drew a second circle, but I selected both of them, you know, to put an equal constraint on them, an equals constraint. Now always remember, you know, you can, you know, like left click on an object and say normal, get you your normal view. Alright, now we're going to draw some circles here. And hovering over here to the midpoint of that arc, and that highlights the center radius of the circle, so all you got to do is click on it. And that constrains it to that, makes it concentric. Okay, select these circles and added an equal constraint on them. Damn it. I kind of hate how this thing, you know, got an equals constraint, as you can see there. And we've exited the sketch. Okay, so now we're going to go do an extruded cut. Apparently you got to set your own view for that. Now on this, you know, I could just leave the default to blind, and the hole would pass through the part because it's at 1/8 of an inch. But the problem is, if we ever change the thickness of that, that is still just a blind cut, even though it'll pass right through it right now. You know, if we ever make this thicker, well, then it won't. You know, if we made it like 1/4 of an inch later, well, you know, it wouldn't pass through it, so you really got to go through all. Okay, anyway, as you can see, you know, it goes right through it all. I guess it's the shadowing or whatever that's on here that's making it look strange. So, okay, I'm going to go do a linear array now, and select the inside of that hole. You notice that both of them light up. Now we select the edge of the part, set the number of holes to 5. Okay, and if you you know, go to the instances to skip, you know, I can like deselect them. You see that they you know, disappear down there, so you know, that might come in handy sometimes that you can turn them back on. But anyway, supposedly this isn't the way to do this because of these holes. So we gotta go, well, go clear this selection and go down to faces to pattern instead, and that'll work with this one on this one occasion. So we just have to click on that, and then voila. There's our hole. Apparently you can draw angles too by doing that. I don't know how it works, but okay, now features to pattern. Now for some reason by default this thing was on. I don't know why, but on direction 1, let's select this edge, reverse it, 5, etc. That's fine. You know, build error, geometry pattern fails. Well, it just so happens there's this geometry pattern here. I don't know what that means, but works okay if you uncheck that. Now, by the way, if you know, didn't choose features but chose faces, that thing would have failed because of the different links. It would have just simply, you know, created a shortcut which saves memory or what the fuck ever to make the hole, but it really wouldn't work well. How does this keep getting reset? But at any rate, okay, to hide and unhide things, that's what the glasses are for. So view, and you know, if you forget to, if you're drawing a line, you forget to change it to a construction line, you can click on it and do this. That converts it to a construction line. Okay, when I'm, you know, selecting the orientation on this circular pattern thing, you know, I selected this circle. So you know, it acts as a guide, so that works. So, you know, you don't have to actually select like an axis or anything necessarily.